Troy shared last week, and he shared, Father, forgive them. This week it's my turn, and mine is about the soldiers who wanted Jesus' blood. I'm going to sit this where it belongs because Ted's going to need it next. All right. Can you hear it?
We can hear you.
All right. No. 3-pager. Okay. This is from He Chose the Nails, Max Lucado. He, Jesus, can dig the Grand Canyon with his little pinky, his little finger. He thinks you are worth his death on Roman timber. Jesus himself chose those nails for us. The soldiers, they wanted blood. So they scourged Jesus. The legionnaires' whip consisted of leather whips with lead balls on each end. His goal was singular: beat the accused within an inch of his death, and then stop. 39 lashes were allowed, but seldom needed. A centurion monitored the prisoner's status. No doubt Jesus was near death when his hands were untied and he slumped to the ground after that terrible beating, because those hooks took great hooks of flesh out of his face. He was marred so much they didn't even know who he was, except that he was the one they were working on. The whipping was the first deed of the soldiers. The crucifixion itself was the third one. But I didn't skip the second one. I'll be getting back to that. Though his back was riddled with wounds, flesh hanging out, the soldiers loaded the crossbeam on Jesus' shoulders and marched him to the place of the skull to execute him. We don't fault the soldiers for the first two actions. After all, they were just following orders. But what's hard to understand is what they did in between the two. Here's Matthew's account. Jesus was beaten with whips and handed over to the soldiers to be crucified. The governor's soldiers took Jesus into the governor's palace, and they gathered all around him. They took off his clothes and put a red robe on him. Using thorny branches, they molded a crown to put on his head and put a stick in his right hand. Then the soldiers bowed before Jesus and made fun of him, saying, "Hail, King of the Jews," and they spat on him. Then they took his stick and began to beat him on the head where those thorns were. And after they finished, the soldiers took off the robe and put his own clothes back on him. Then they led him away to be crucified. And that's Matthew 27, verse 26 through 31. The soldiers' assignment was simple. Take the Nazarene to the hill and kill him. But they had another idea. They wanted to have some fun first. Strong, rested, armed soldiers encircled an exhausted, nearly dead Galilean carpenter and beat him up. The scourging was commanded. The crucifixion was commanded. But who would draw pleasure out of spitting on a half-dead man? Spitting is not intended to hurt the body. It can't. Spitting is intended to degrade the soul, and it does. What were the soldiers doing? Were they not elevating themselves at the expense of another? They felt big by making Christ look small. Allow the spit of the soldiers to symbolize the filth in our own hearts, and then observe what Jesus does with our filth. He carries it to the cross with him. Through the prophet, he said, I did not hide my face from mocking and spitting. That's Isaiah 50, verse 6. Mingled with his blood and sweat was the essence of our sin. God could have deemed otherwise. In God's plan, Jesus was offered wine for his throat. So why not a towel for his face? Simon carried the cross for Jesus because he couldn't. But he did not mop the cheek of Jesus to remove that spittle. Angels were a prayer away. Couldn't they have taken the spittle away? They could have. But Jesus never commanded them to do that. For some reason, the one who chose the nails also chose the saliva of filth. Along with the spear and the sponge of man, he bore the spit of man. The sinless one took the face of a sinner so that we sinners could take the face of a saint. And just before he died, on that cross for us, with his last breath, he cried to the Father, it is finished. I commit my spirit into your hands. Taken from the book, He Chose the Nails by Max Lucado. Now for the sermon today.